Today our guest on Let's Talk Jonesboro is Beverly Parker, and Beverly is a volunteer extraordinaire around Jonesboro for a lot of reasons that I've known through the years. And Beverly now is chairing our Keep Jonesboro Beautiful Commission. It's really called the Jonesboro Beautification Commission, I think, but we're calling it Keep Jonesboro Beautiful, correct?
That is correct. It is that because we have become an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful, and through that, the commission changed the name to be Keep Jonesboro Beautiful.
And you have put together a website or just a Facebook page?
We do have a Facebook page, and we do have a website, jonesborobeautiful.com, where individuals can go, can learn more about us, and really learn what they can do as individuals, neighborhoods, churches, schools, various things that can help our effort.
You know, people get overwhelmed by that thought sometimes. What can I do? What good is it going to do me to go see this when I'm one person and somebody else is doing all the littering? But we've seen this through the years, these campaigns, and when we really get somebody focused on things. I remember the trash along the interstates in the 70s, and then we had the national push with the Native American on the horse that had the tear in his eye, and that
Yes.
was iconic for a generation or two right there. So, what do you think that people can motivate people to really get involved in this?
Well, I hope that people want a better city. It's interesting that you say that about being overwhelmed, or how can one person do something. So it's the 2020 Keep America Beautiful survey on litter, which actually, because of COVID, just came out in 2021 about 2 weeks ago. But it was beneficial because they were also able to include some of the COVID data in that. But they are focusing on things that just are not specifically about highways or streets, also about streams and other places that are heavily littered. It's interesting to note that they are indicating through their studies that it's somewhere around 50 billion pieces of trash throughout the United States. So if you talk about that in terms of 50 billion, and that sounds so overwhelming, but they're breaking that down to an individual number based on the number of people in the United States, and it comes to 152 pieces of trash. So basically, they're asking, can you as an individual pick up 152 pieces of trash? This is not necessarily along your street. It could be where you go boating or hunting or fishing. So it's doable because we're asking people, as is Keep America Beautiful, asking people to take action every day to improve your neighborhood, your city, wherever you are. So if everybody pitches in, this can be something attainable. And it's so important to our city to be a clean city, one that we can take pride in.
That's a great study and breakdown that you have right there. Now, 152 pieces, I can do that, Beverly.
Exactly.
Unless you're telling me to do it every day.
I'm not telling you, that's per year.
Per year.
You have a whole year.
Easy as pie.
You can start tomorrow.
I could start today. I may have picked up something on the way in.
Well, that's such a great point because that's something that we're asking people to do here in Jonesboro. If you see trash, pick it up. And I'll just mention my personal philosophy. I feel that if I don't pick it up, if I don't take action, that I'm just as guilty as the person that put it there to start with. And if everyone would have a different attitude about trash and litter, making it something that it's everybody's responsibility, not just, we have a tendency to think that it's beneath us to pick up trash. And I think maybe with our germ-conscious thoughts, and particularly under COVID, that there was some hesitancy. But COVID is a virus. It's not going to be on the trash. It's dead and gone.
Right.
So we shouldn't be too offended, number one, to pick up trash. We're not too good. And secondarily, it's a thing that makes our city better. Thirdly, I want to point out that we're not all just about litter. This is a beautification program. And what's really important about this is moving not just to a situation where we're having to pick up litter. We want to prevent litter from happening. We will never pick our way up out of a litter problem, and that's where Jonesboro is. And I'm hoping that the citizens watching this are not going to be interested in having their tax money spent on city employees going around day after day, week after week, picking up litter.
Which is happening at this point. Right?
It is, because we're cleaning up the city. But we want to show what a clean city can look like. And it's important that once people see that it's clean and it's pretty, that everyone endeavor to keep it that way. And there are ways that everybody in our city can help prevent litter. One would be taking care of your trash can. And by the way, I've coined a phrase called trash can hygiene. So I call it trash can hygiene because sometimes, it happened in my trash can a couple of weeks ago, the sanitation truck comes, the can is turned upside down, and something by magic doesn't quite get into the truck. So there was a bag there at the base of my trash can. And so I took it upon myself. I think it came out of my trash. It could have been my neighbor's trash, but it was on the front of my drive. So I took it upon myself to pick that up, put it in my trash can till the next time. So much of our trash comes from trash cans that are not covered. People are stacking things on top of their trash cans, and the wind blows, and that becomes litter. Likewise, dumpsters. A lot of our trash is coming from uncovered dumpsters. And perhaps the dumpsters are a little bit overfilled to start with, and so therefore when a good wind blows, that trash is moving to other places. So it just behooves us, if we can just take into consideration some of the places or causes, if you will, of litter, and all work together to prevent litter from happening, then we wouldn't be in this constant situation of having to have campaigns for litter pickup. And again, litter pickups, litter cleanups, having the city look beautiful, that is the starting point. We want to move to clean, green, and beautiful. And until we get the litter up, it's not going to look green and beautiful.
Right, right. Well, and this is the time of year for cleanups, and we've got a lot of neighborhoods that are doing cleanups. You know, I get reports from our sanitation and code enforcement and police departments that participate in these weekend cleanups every week, and tons, literally tons, every Saturday are being picked up, cleaned up, and sometimes, obviously, this is household junk that you want to get rid of, but that's cleaning up a little bit, because otherwise it's going to wind up somewhere. And
it is. I do want to emphasize, however, that we have Legacy Landfill, which is a great resource, and that is available to everyone to
You're already
be able
paying
to,
for it in your
to
taxes.
take their whatever, if it's their refrigerator or whatever they have, and to dispose of that. And again, that's prevention. If everybody takes responsibility for not putting their sofa on the side of the street or not putting their mattress in a stream, then we could be so much better off. We really need to also talk about the impact that litter has in our city overall. And I know many citizens, many of the homes are affected by flooding. Litter is a huge part of that.
it is.
So you're not just helping the city by picking up litter, you're actually protecting your home. So if you're concerned about flooding in our city, make a special point to pick up that 152 pieces of litter that we talked about earlier.
That 152, and also when you talk about flooding and the problems in our ditches, we've had furniture in the ditches. We found, we know that oil that leaks into the gutters and the drainage is always going to create problems, sludge, backup of drainage water, and this all contributes to flooding.
Right.
So that's just a part of keeping Jonesboro beautiful.
Right. I actually went into a ditch and picked up a big container, plastic bag of trash that was in the proximity of the culvert. And had that big item been hit by rainwater and taken to the culvert, then that would have been a flooding situation. We have streams, they're creeks, and those creeks run into our watershed. We have 3 rivers that are fed through our streams here in Jonesboro, the Cache, the White, and the Langille. So when people think, oh, I'm just going to chunk this mattress right on into the ditch here, they're really not throwing it into a ditch. They're really throwing it into a stream that feeds major waterways. And it's interesting that Arkansas is very proud of our natural resources, and particularly our lakes and streams. We get a lot of revenue from hunting and fishing throughout the state, and we only can do that if we have clean places for those individuals to come hunt and fish and enjoy boating, etc. So again, we're not just thinking about it as what's at my front door. Is it littered, is it not? We're thinking about literally downstream, that we want not just our city, but the whole state to be a lot prettier, cleaner, and less littered.
That's very important. What are the other priorities? Are there any other priorities that we need to discuss?
Yes. I've mentioned already litter prevention. So started with cleanup. We want to move then to litter prevention, getting people to be more aware of how litter happens and preventing it. Next, we are also going to work on what's called gateway areas. Our commission feels that there's real opportunity in looking at the entrances to Jonesboro and making those more attractive. When our visitors come to town, they need to be greeted not by trash and not by just a barren landscape. They need to arrive and think, oh, what a nice little city this is.
Yes.
So that's what we mean by gateway areas. The other area is greening. We're looking at some greening projects. We are working with Parks and Recreation to look at various opportunities. One is the area across from the courthouse, and we will be putting in some trees there so that as you enter downtown Jonesboro, there at the courthouse, it will be more attractive and not as barren.
Very nice.
So that's one of our projects. So I do want to mention that these areas were discussed with Mayor Copenhaver as he came into office, and we have the support of the mayor on these items, and these are priority items so that we can take the city further along. And there's a whole economic benefit. We talked about drainage, etc. I don't know about you, but if I was an industry leader, I might think twice if I came here and looked around and saw a very littered community.
I have lived that, Beverly, in a city in Louisiana that was trying to attract corporate business, and the president came into town and said, no, this place is dirty, you don't take care of it, we don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said that out loud.
That happens.
Yes.
And in ways we don't ever hear about. You know,
Okay.
that was probably a big industry, but that may happen much more than we know when small businesses choose to go elsewhere.
Yes. What does our problem do to create blight?
Litter also has the impact of at least a 7% decrease in home values, leading to blight. So this is not just prettying up things. This is a way that we can hold on to neighborhoods that are in transition and hopefully help them maintain, a positive look and learn from other neighborhoods that, yes, mowing our yard helps and breaking our leaves help, but certainly keeping our streets clean and litter-free is an enormous impact in terms of maintaining our home values and making sure that we present ourselves in the best possible light.
Have you had much dealings with neighborhood alliances? We have a growing number, still a handful, but a growing number of neighborhood alliances. That does seem to do some good, does it not?
It does. The neighborhood alliances have taken the lead in the neighborhood cleanups, and we certainly love seeing that. These are actually neighborhood driven, not necessarily through the commission. So back to individual responsibility in neighborhoods and people within those neighborhoods. So it's really important to not just pick up litter on the street, but to be able to really help neighborhoods and people living in those neighborhoods to have more pride in their particular residence. So I really want to applaud. We have several neighborhood groups that are advancing that throughout the city, and not just doing the regular cleanups. They have, through our efforts, I think, with Keep Jonesboro Beautiful, seen opportunity to really taking that up a notch and expanding it, and we're seeing more of that. And we would just like to invite other neighborhoods too to engage in those efforts. Those actually are coordinated through code enforcement and the sanitation department. One of the things that we've tried to impress upon people is the ability for small neighborhoods anywhere in Jonesboro to have what's called a pop-up cleanup. A pop-up cleanup is just, you get together with 5 or 6 of your neighbors and you go down your street and you're picking up litter. Or perhaps the school where your children go has a bit of a litter problem. So you have a litter pickup around school or church or etc. Those are easy, doesn't take a lot of people. It's just a little coordination of involving your neighbors, figuring out where that trash is going to go once it's picked up. But all of that is doable, and it's back to individual responsibility and somebody just taking the lead and saying, I want my neighborhood, my street to look better.
That's a wonderful idea. And the pop-up cleanup, if people have questions, what do they need to do? How do they need to learn about this?
There's actually information on our website. There's also a contact us place on our website, and I will be happy if they contact me through the website to email. We have actually a little guide on how to conduct a pop-up cleanup.
Okay. Do we have neighborhoods that you feel like really need a lot of attention right now, or is this a big problem? Compare it to what you've seen in other cities or what you understand about other cities.
I think I can only compare it to what I've seen over time in this city. I moved here 20 years ago, and I have seen certain areas that have maybe recovered. Let's talk about West End, for instance. Kind of an area that's on its way back from being not so great.
Looks a lot better, yes.
But there's other areas throughout Jonesboro. I don't want to call any names, but the answer to your question is yes. And one of the hopes I have, and we've been able to do a little bit of it, but not quite as much as I hope in the future, is to get churches involved, churches and community groups that can go out and help clean up neighborhoods, demonstrate what neatness is. If you've lived in a certain circumstance all your life, you may not really have ever been you may not have ever been shown how to take care of property. We take for granted what we have in terms of socioeconomics. We don't always understand that a certain amount of this is modeling behavior, that people just, maybe it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't know how to care.
Right.
Or if somebody would help them care, then they can carry it on.
Right. That's wonderful. That's just like parenting.
Correct.
So.
And I believe it can be a ministry. I hope to get there. We're not there at this time, but I hope that that's something that we could foster in the long term.
You're doing a great job. She's Beverly Parker, and she's the chairperson of the Keep Jonesboro Beautiful Commission.
Correct.
All right. Then we are proud to have you on Let's Talk Jonesboro, and we will have you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.